This week on the Road Unfiltered Podcast, we have Tyler Conrad. He is on the road with Tim McGraw, has also toured with Miranda Lambert, Dan and Shay, and Devin Dawson. What's up, dude?
How we doing? I'm great.
We've never really met, and we're just like, it's kind of like an Instagram thing. It's kind of like little DMs here and there.
Yeah, the walk from the door to here was about the longest I think we've been in the same room.
I know, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is dope, dude. I'm stoked that you're on board here with this because just wanted to chat with you about everything you do, where you came from, and what you're gonna do, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so, I was down.
So the reason why I'm doing this podcast too is just, to kind of like inspire, the next generation that comes up, and just like anybody that doesn't know how to be like in touring or how to get into touring or, like they don't know what cameras to use or editing or anything like that. It's just banter about all that stuff, you know? Yeah. So tell me about you, dude, because I'm learning too. This is the first time I'm going to get to know what you're all about. So.
This is a cool way to start like a friendship in person.
Exactly. Now you just have to edit my videos.
That's fine. Perfect. That sounds great.
Where are you from? Tell me your story, dude.
Yeah. So I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, born and raised, moved to town in like mid 2018. I was an athlete growing up, wasn't super musical until like high school. So, moved here in 2018. I was in country radio. That was my first job.
Oh, wow.
In college. Didn't like country music until a couple of years into that job. Got to meet a lot of people in country music, in the country industry, artists, managers, different people.
Yeah.
And, kind of got the vibe of that industry and kind of got taken by it, and so eventually had my sights set on Nashville. Left that job, worked somewhere else for about a year, and you mentioned Devin Dawson. Now he's one of my best friends here in town.
Amazing.
He slid into my DMs at the right time. Said, "Hey, I'm going out on tour and would love a tour content guy. Would you be up for it?" I said, "Well, give me 2 weeks so I can put my 2 weeks in," and I'm there. So I put my 2 weeks in at my job in Indy, and commuted from Indianapolis to Nashville for about two months or something for that tour, and eventually moved down here.
Amazing. So what did you sports? What were you playing when you were at home?
Yeah, I grew up. I played tennis and basketball. Those were my two. Played basketball up until about high school, and then tennis I played throughout high school. If you would have asked me at 17, 18, I would have thought I'd be like a tennis instructor right now.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I was very into it. Played it for about 15 years of my life.
Dude, I love tennis, man. When I was growing up, my family, my mom's side of the family, they were big tennis players.
My dad's side was that. Yeah.
So I'd play tennis all the time when I was a kid.
Oh, dude,
I loved it. The neighborhood that I lived in had a tennis court in it, and I was there all the time.
Yes, dude, preaching to the choir.
It was good for the legs.
Yeah. No, same here. Yeah. So I was gonna go to college to play tennis, and then ironically, I don't know if that's the right term here, I ended up going to college in Indianapolis. I went to the University of Indianapolis because I made a hip-hop dance team in downtown Indianapolis.
No way.
Yeah, I was in show choir in high school, didn't really do hip-hop, anything like that, but I had enough rhythm to be good at that in high school. A buddy of mine was on the team, convinced me to try out my senior year. I didn't think I'd make it. I'd never done it. Ended up making the final, the final round of the audition, and I kind of took it as, okay, if I make this, I think I'm going to have to stay in Indianapolis and kind of figure it out. Ended up making it, and it was the hip-hop dance team for the Indiana Fever and the Indiana Pacers.
Wow.
So I did that in college, and it kept me in Indianapolis, and really is a big reason why I'm here today, to be honest.
That's wild.
So
basketball too, huh?
Basketball, indeed.
So are you a Pacers fan?
Oh yeah, big Pacers fan. I mean, I'm from Indiana. I mean, basketball is religion.
Yeah, because what is the college? It's the Hoosiers, right?
Yep, the Hoosiers. I'm not as big of a Hoosiers fan. My grandpa played at Purdue. Back in the, I think, 60s. And so, we were born and raised Purdue fans in our household, which is obviously, that's the big rival there. And so, Purdue Butler fan, but I have a I appreciate Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Just as much as
I
any
really
other
wish
Indiana
we had
person.
a basketball team here in Nashville.
Dude.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
I'd be front and center.
They just need to.
I might have to change careers. Like, I don't know. Like,
right.
Like I said, preaching to the choir. I'd be all
Would you
the
ever
time.
shoot sports?
I would love to shoot sports. Absolutely. I shot. So the job I did in between the country radio and here was I worked for a digital agency in Indianapolis, and their main clientele was motorsports.
Oh, nice.
So they did like IndyCar, rally cars, just a bunch of different motorsport athletes. And so growing up in Indiana, in Indianapolis specifically, around the Indy 500, I thought at that point I'd made it. I was like,
so you were able to shoot all that stuff?
Yeah, so I was on the IndyCar circuit for about a year. So I went around track to track, race to race with different drivers and teams.
Dude, that's
basically
sick.
doing what I do now. For musicians, I did it for drivers and teams.
Yeah.
And I did it, like I said, for about a year, and it was great. Had a lot of fun. It was just when you grow up loving something, but then it becomes work. It starts to ruin it for you a little bit, and I just didn't want to have that. Like, I didn't want to grow bitter towards something that, was a big part of my childhood and my relationship with like my grandfather and stuff like that. And so I started to, look to see maybe what was next, and that's when, like I said, Devin hit me in the DM at the right time. So,
wow, that's wild. Man, I would have loved. I wanted to shoot like a baseball team.
Oh yeah.
Like I would love to go like just travel with them.
Oh yeah.
It's different. Because the thing is, it's like with me, it's like, okay, cool. It's like country music artists, musicians, awesome.
Yeah.
But sports, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm so, absolutely. And especially baseball. I mean, baseball is just cinema through and through. I mean, there's so many chances to tell a story with emotion and, just like a grind. I totally agree. I follow a guy that does stuff for the Dodgers, like on social media.
John Suhu?
Yeah, I think,
dude.
dude, I follow his stuff.
I know, me too.
And all I think is just, oh my gosh, that guy just has to have a blast, just coming up with different narratives.
And he's been doing it for years.
Yeah,
he's been with the Dodgers for a long time.
Yep.
That's funny because it nowadays too. It's like a lot of the players, like I guess like a lot of football players and baseball players, they have like their own like video and photographer guy now that travel with them.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool. It's like I never thought that would be a thing, and I was like, damn, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah,
go follow around a player for a season.
In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Yeah. But that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But so you decided to get to Nashville. You got into the DMs and all that, and it was really funny because I remember your Instagram from years ago when it was Devin. It was like all black and white.
It was all black and white.
Yeah, but that's so cool though.
It was great. I think I was the envy of every tour photographer friend that I had, because they're like, man,
you didn't have to fix anything.
They're like, what do you even do in post? Like, what do you like? Do you have like? Let me see your Lightroom. Let me just see it.
Now, was that something that Devin wanted to do, or is
that was going into it. That was a big part of his brand.
Yeah,
just black and white. He came from a metal background, so black and white goth kind of the look. That was his thing.
Yeah, and
so he. I was rolled with it at that point. I entered it and said, yes, sir. All right. Sounds good.
Right.
I loved it. Obviously it was great. I think any of us are a sucker for a black and white photo. Right. And so to be told, hey, only give me that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Not only is it easy, but for some reason there's a beauty in it too.
Absolutely. Well, it takes so many of the distractions away from, the image. You just look at the composition and the emotion and all that. It's way less distracting. You get to kind of hone in on it a little bit more.
Well, that's like John Shearer.
Yeah, exactly.
He shoots a lot of black and white on that, like a Q3. And some of those shots are just the moments. And there's just something really genuine about the photo. It's really about the moment. What kind of camera were you using when you were back at home before you got here?
When I was back at home, let's see. When you first started out? When I first started, my first camera that I ever got, I think, was in college. I got a Canon 60D, and I was obsessed with it.
Right.
I thought I thought that was it. I didn't know how to get a better camera than that at the time. I had the flip out screen, loved it. So I learned on a Canon. My mom also had a Canon growing up, so I was somewhat familiar with it. Ironically, though, when I got it, I kind of took a lot of shit for getting that camera too, because the one class in college that I took for photography, the instructor was a Nikon person her whole time. And so also everyone else in the class, they bought Nikons for the class. And so I was the only one in that class with a Canon camera. So I ate a lot of shit to have that Canon camera, even though I was pumped on it. Right. I was like, you guys don't get it.
It's amazing how there's like a Nikon Canon rivalry.
It's crazy to me. Yeah. And so anyway, that was my first one. And then eventually when I went to the radio station, I shot on a Canon 6D. And again, that I thought I'd made it at that point too. Yeah. I was like, this is beautiful. This camera's amazing. So I shot content at the radio station for that, and that was also the first camera I got to shoot live shows with too.
Gotcha.
And so because I shot shows for the radio station, and then eventually after that I moved to a Sony A7S too.
Nice.
When I moved to town.
So what radio station was it?
It was Hank FM in Indianapolis, 97.1.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what would you shoot for them? Like,
well, a variety of things. So I also it wasn't just, I didn't just work for that station. It was it was the country station, it was a sports station, news station, and like a soft rock station. So I was the basically media guy for those 4 stations. Yeah. So it was, anything from things for clients, things for our talent that were, news updates or quick questions, with so-and-so on air talent. If we had like an artist or an athlete in to do an interview, I'd go in and film the interviews, things like that.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember like I would go on like little radio tours or something with an artist, and I felt like there was always a content guy. Yep. At a radio station. Yep. And that was kind of like what I was that guy. Which is kind of cool because like that's an interesting way of getting involved as well.
Absolutely.
And into this business.
Absolutely.
I never thought about that until just now, until you said that. Yeah. That it's like, somebody could get kind of a job at a local radio station is like being the media guy.
100%. It gets you in the mix, and it gives you a chance to show your chops, and they're gonna see it one way or another. Yeah, like exactly. Whether it's good or bad, but if it's good, they're gonna see it and they're gonna remember it, right?
Yeah, and especially like radio stations. I mean, obviously they have Instagram and all that stuff, and all that stuff gets posted. And if it's great, hell, you never know. A country singer could get in your DMs and hire you.
Exactly. Well, and it was honestly that was a big part of it. Was because so many artists, especially like in country, they go on radio tour, and so they see every station across America. Yep. And not only do they see them, in person, but they see what they post. They see what they put out. They see the quality, whatever. Yeah. And so when they came to our station, I tried to make it a really good point of like, hey, we have a little bit of sauce here in Indianapolis. Yeah. Like we can, we hold ourselves to a little bit of a higher standard. So we put out, really quality work, and eventually had like a studio sponsorship for when they did their acoustic sets for us and stuff like that. And so I had a really good time putting that together. And I think what put it over the top with Devin was afterward he responded to my Instagram post of like, Dawson's here today, and he said, hey, any chance you could throw the video you filmed today in black and white for me? We'd never done that before, and I was like, I'll ask my boss. And I did it, and he's like, sick, dude. He's like, awesome. So I think that may put me over the top.
That's funny. Did you ever shoot any shows in Indianapolis? Like like the amphitheater and all that?
Absolutely.
Would the radio station send you out and do stuff?
Yep. I would go, I think it was like start of my second year. My boss originally would go out and shoot those, but since her plate got full, and I was like, I would love to try, and so she let me go down and give it a shot. I loved it from the first show. Loved it. I remember, I'm trying to think, I don't know if he was the first show or if he was one of the first ones, was Luke Bryan.
Nice.
And up until that point, I think I had only shot from a soundboard. So way in the back. I had like a 70-200, which was like fine, but it wasn't nothing that you're like, oh my gosh, look at the shot. Right. And he allowed us to get in the pit.
Oh, nice.
And so, like I said, as one of my first shows, got in the pit. I mean, I was me to you to Luke as a 22 or whatever year old kid. I was like, again, this is it. I don't know how you could get better than this right here.
Right.
Like, I got the shot.
Hooked, dude.
Oh, I put it on Instagram like before I even got in my car. Like, I was ecstatic. It was one of the best. I was like, this is a job? Like, no way.
I know.
And so, so I did that for about a year or two or something, I think, for the radio station. And I'd pop out for the country shows.
Yeah, because I bet, like, I mean, especially something like that with like Luke allowing you in the pit, a lot of artists, they don't do that these days. It's all, you know, everything media that comes through, you know, when they come through a city, they're all front of house. It's like 100 feet away. It's the first 3 songs and then you're out, you know. But that's cool that you were able to kind of be in right there with it.
Oh, yeah, know, right in the mix of it. You know, he came to the front, did his little dance or whatever he does. Like, he, you know, I'm right there. And then also, especially when it's like you haven't done it a lot, you turn around and you look behind you and you're like, dude, there's 15, 20,000 people right there. Like, you know how many people would kill to be right here? And
you're right in the middle of that energy,
exactly.
Dude. It's like
goosebumps
for
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what. Oh,
that's the cool thing about our job, man. It's
absolutely.
Just that emotion and that electric, just being in the crowd or being right there is just, there's no feeling like it, man.
And then add on top, when you get a shot you love too, you snap and you're like, that was I mean, just elevates it to a whole nother level.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
So you got the bug, dude.
Oh, dude, I got the bug immediately. And like I said, I wasn't even really a country fan.
Right.
I mean, for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny. When I first started in country music, I was working for Faith Hill. A long time ago. We're going to get into this story.
That's awesome.
You're going to freak, dude.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
So, the things I'm going to tell you, dude, you're going to freak. Because you have no idea. Mm-mm. But anyway, you know, I was working for Faith, and I was doing work for her, obviously, and then she was managed by the same people that managed Keith Urban at the time. Okay. At that time, back in 2005.
Okay.
And I'll never forget, I was in Newport Beach. This is when I still lived in LA.
Okay.
And I was down in Newport Beach, and I got a phone call that, hey, Keith Urban, you know, is looking for a guy, you know, to go out on the road. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, I'm down. That'll be kind of fun, you know. Then I get off the phone. I go over to my girlfriend. I'm like, who's Keith Urban? And that was back that was 2005. So it was just like,
it's not like saying it today, but
exactly. So then I started working with Keith, you know. This was after I started working for Faith Hill. But the funny story, because we'll lead into, you know, McGraw stories on your end. But my dad is in the business. He was a tour manager.
Okay.
And he was Faith Hill's tour manager for 8 years.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude. Okay.
Yeah. He was Faith's tour manager, and he started with her, I feel like it was 96.
Okay.
So it was like when she
90s,
was
that was prime, like
out. Yeah.
Like, but I mean, he was riding the wave.
Yeah,
like, that's awesome.
Exactly. Because he was there through the whole, you know, when Breathe broke, and like when she was like 99, 2000.
She was that girl.
Know? Oh yeah. Yeah. She was incredible.
Yeah.
You know, but my dad was there when Tim and Faith met.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he was involved. I mean, not involved, but he was in that world when all that went down. Man.
That's
George Strait
amazing.
tour, all that stuff. Yeah.
Dude.
So my dad and Faith and Tim have been friends for almost 30. I would say 30 years.
I mean,
close.
If you're going back to 96ish,
it's
absolutely.
almost 30 years. Yeah. But
wow.
Yeah, Tim and my dad are still really good friends to this day. And
that's insane.
And it's really funny because my dad had his 75th birthday party back in October, and Tim and Faith were there.
No
and
way.
So I was talking to Tim, and we started talking about you.
No way.
Yeah, dude. I know.
Tim didn't tell me that. I didn't.
I know.
That's hilarious.
You probably forgot. But,
no, that's great.
But it's like,
that's hilarious.
Isn't that crazy though?
Wow.
So it was funny because, like, you know, my dad got to see the kids grow up, you know, and the whole, like, he was there when he proposed and when they got married, everything, man. It was pretty wild. And it's really funny because if you ever go back and look at some of the press photos of like red carpet stuff with Faith and Tim, my dad's always in the background.
He's in like the corner. Yeah, like
he's
ready for the next one.
He's that guy in the back corner.
That's awesome.
You'll see him a lot. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so Tim is like family.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
to
like
us.
it's Uncle Tim a little bit. Yeah,
exactly.
That's crazy.
He's so awesome, and
absolutely
just to see his waves, that what he's done and what he's gone through and where he's at, and just like all that stuff is just so great to see. He's a legend now. You know?
Living legend. Absolutely.
And still doing it, and still.
Dude just had another #1 like a month ago.
I know.
Yeah.
And another tour coming up.
Exactly.
You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I know. So
hasn't slowed down.
So that's my crazy Faith Hill Tim McGraw story.
Yeah,
so,
that's pretty crazy.
So you didn't know that, but now you do.
I'm gonna have to take a moment on the drive home to realize that you and Tim were talking about me behind my back.
Right.
And I just found out about it. Like, I'm gonna need to like take a pause with that. Yeah, that's hilarious.
But it was really funny because I remember there were days that, you know, I would go out and, you know, toss a football with Tim, you know, a long time ago.
Yep.
And that leads to me another thing is I did the Soul to Soul 2 tour in 2006.
Yep.
When it was all in the round and all that stuff. And that was, God, I can't believe that was 18 years ago now. It's crazy.
Yeah, holy cow, that was 18 years ago.
But but that was awesome, and that was the whole, you know, lead up to like knowing Bob and you know, and the whole like the whole band. But you know, a lot of people like had transitioned on and stuff like that. But man,
Bobby and Dino, Denny.
Yeah, exactly. That was honestly probably one of my most favorite tours I've ever been on.
I bet
it was unreal.
To this day, they still just speak so highly of that tour, and just I feel like it was just like a lot of bonding and just a lot of you know, growing closer.
I remember I think it was like we started the tour like I want to say in like April or something, and we went April through the end of August, and I think we did like 72 shows in the summertime. Goodness. Yeah. Whew. It was gnarly. It was like a rock tour.
I was going to say, you're just out.
Yeah, because we were just out. It wasn't like a weekend warrior.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like a lot of country people do these days. But it was just, man, that tour was just so epic. Whew. It was so much fun. So,
all right, so now I'm going to have to go back to the office, dig in the archives a little bit, and find some 06 Jeff Johnson footage.
Me, dude. That's me.
Have to peel through that a little bit.
I know. That's wild. It was wild. That was a great time. And, you know, like I said, it's like they're family, man. Yeah. You know, Faith and my dad are just like, they've been friends for so many years, you know, so it's really cool. Really
That's
cool.
Awesome, dude.
I know.
Small world.
But, so now you've left Indy and you've come down to Nashville. Yep. And so was Devin your first tour?
First full tour. Yes.
Gotcha.
Like I said, I had a brief stint with Low Cash.
That's right.
In between the country radio job and the IndyCar job for like a month or so. I did a few, but it wasn't nearly as consistent like as Devin. Devin was definitely the first full on tour. Yeah.
Now, so Low Cash, was that like your first like bus tour?
Yeah, I did. I think I only did like 3 weekends or something with them of shows, and so it was a bus tour. It was also a couple like fly dates to I think we did NFR in Vegas and stuff like that. And so, but yeah, that was my first taste of touring at all for sure.
So tell me this: so like you're shooting for the radio station, you shot Luke Bryan, you've got the bug. Now you're coming to Nashville. What was it like getting on the bus for the first time?
Man.
Because now it's like this is real.
Yeah, it's just a little surreal, and it's just like I can't even remember how I felt. I just remember how cool it felt.
Right.
Like you just felt so cool. Like you pull up to I think we met in a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
So you park your car at Walmart.
Yeah.
And you walk onto a tour bus, and you're just like, dude, that's my bunk. Like what? Like.
Right.
Like you feel like you're in a movie a little bit. You know what I mean? Like this is stuff you see on in the movies. And, and it was also just because I didn't know everybody obviously yet either, and so luckily everyone was super nice. But it was just very like feeling it out, like just trying to understand the vibe and just because I was new to town. Everybody else said they'd had at least been on tours before. Like I hadn't really even been on a tour, like let alone a bus.
Yeah, were they like, that's your bunk right there?
Well, yeah, basically. But they were super. They were kind about it because they hadn't. I I'm trying to think if they'd even done a bus tour. Devin, I don't know if they'd done a bus. I think they were in a Sprinter.
Gotcha.
The tour before that, they opened for Maren Morris. I think they were in a Sprinter for that. And so I think this was the first one that they got a bus for. So it was kind of new to them too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like it was like, I think they were just it was almost like a guilt trip for me too, because they had done the whole, you know, grind of the sprint buses and all that beforehand. Yeah. And they show up like, oh, we made it, like we're here. And I just show up this fresh face of just like, this is tour life, I guess. Like, here we go. Like I just, you know, so I probably felt a little guilty, to be honest. But no, it was great.
Yeah, it's funny because there's been a couple on the podcast that are like, yeah, we did van life, and you know, and then some of us have been like, it was bus life right off the bat.
Yeah.
You know,
which I've done van life since then. Like I caught up a little bit, but I definitely didn't start there for sure.
So Chris used to be my neighbor from Locash.
Oh, no way. Really?
Yeah, he used to live right next door to me.
No way.
Yeah, back, I want to say it was like maybe like 2008, 2009 in that area.
Okay.
And it was funny because that's when they were, what was it? Locash Cowboys.
Like Locash Cowboys, yeah.
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 And it
Chris
was
wore a cowboy hat.
Yeah. And it was funny because like almost every morning he'd be out like outside, and I'd walk outside, and you know, we're sitting there with a cup of coffee just talking. He's like, man, we got to do some work together at some point. And Chris and I have been friends ever since. You know, every time I run into him, he's just like, you still in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
I'm like, yep.
That's cool. That's super cool.
Chris is great, dude. I love that dude.
Yeah. No,
yeah,
they're good.
Super talented.
Yeah,
super talented.
for sure.
Yeah. And then Tanner went on and worked with Locash.
Yeah.
That's how I met him.
Yep. That's how, like I said, they got on my radar. Is Tanner and we were talking previously, Matt Paskert.
Yeah.
And then David Lair too.
Yeah.
All four of us at one point worked for Locash.
Yeah. So. I got to have Matt on this.
You do.
I think once.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think if we do a second season, I got to get him as number one.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I vouch for that.
Yeah.
Fully.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
good dude too. I think I did something with him one time, like a shoot or something. I think if I remember right, I think it was Rachel Deeb was directing something with Matthew shooting it.
Yep, I think I remember that.
And I think I went in and did some drone stuff. It was for Emily Ann, I think. Emily Ann Roberts.
Okay. Yeah. I think I remember that.
Yeah. I think that was the first time. I think that was the first time I met him.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
I think it was. So then you're in Nashville. You're out with Devin now. So how long were you with him for?
I toured with Devin 2018 and 2019 for the most part. 2018 was more full than 2019. But yeah, so he opened for Brett Eldridge, like I said, when I first moved to town, or before when I first toured with him. Then his second tour, he opened for Tim and Faith on Soul to Soul.
Yeah, that's right.
On the very last leg of the Soul to Soul tour. And so that was, I remember, because he was also, not only did I tour with him, he was my roommate for the first year that I was here.
Oh, wow.
Because he, after that first tour, it went well. He's like, dude, got another one in like a week or two, like open for Tim and Faith. Do you want to do it? I was like, yeah, of course. Like this was amazing. Yeah. Absolutely. He's like, but you should probably live here. Like if that, you know, it's going to be a thing. Cause you know, he was out for another like month or two, I think 2 months or something.
Gotcha.
And, I was like, yeah, that'd be great. Like, I can't get a place in like a week. Like, that's, you know? And he's like, well, I got a spare room that honestly I'm tired of paying rent for.
Right.
And he's like, if that works for you, he's like, there's a mattress in there already, man. I was like, dude, that's great. So he basically, I think for that first part, he just matched whatever rent I was paying in Indianapolis and said, dude, just pay me that. And that room's yours. And I was like, done deal. So I lived with Devin and his twin brother, Jacob, for like the first year and some change that I was here. Yeah.
So where were you camera gear at that point?
Camera gear at that point, Sony A7S II. I bought that just before I moved to town, I think. Or I'm sorry, just before that first tour with Devin. And I was in love. I still love that camera, but I was in love with that camera. That just took, with the low light capabilities and stuff, that took filming concerts, especially in smaller venues, to a whole nother level.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. Yeah. I used it a couple times when I was out with Carrie on the Storyteller tour. Yeah. And because I've been a Canon guy from like day one. Yeah. And I used it and I liked it, but I loved Canon. Sure. So I'm a
Canon guy now, so I get that. Yeah.
I kind of went in and then I went out of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I saw on your Instagram you were doing like a lot of glide cam stuff too.
I was.
Yeah.
that was different. I feel like a lot of people were more so down the, you know, DJI route or whatever, doing the Ronins and stuff. I had a Ronin, so don't let me fully fool you. Like I wasn't just that, but I definitely, up until recently, really preferred the glide cam for live shows and whatnot. Just
probably because it's probably a little more versatile, right?
Exactly.
You can get around with
it's
it
versatile. It's just faster to like have a little quick release plate on the top, pop it in, go.
Yeah.
And you know, it gets me 80% of the way there, right? You know, it's not going to be as buttery smooth as your DJI,
right?
You know, Ronin S3 or whatever. Like it's not going to be that smooth.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily need it to be that smooth all the time. I just need to make sure I'm there for the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And that I'm not screwing up the moment. You know what I mean? And so that was kind of a big reason why I went that route. And I also just didn't have like a ton of camera gear at that point either. So it was a lot easier to have the main camera that I had, you know, on the thing. If I need to take stills, pop it, boom, hit stills, pop it back on, falling back out. It was just, it was a lot snappier instead of than, you know, sliding the plate in, clicking the button, waiting for it to balance. Exactly. By that point, he's staged left, and I'm not even out there. You know what I mean? Like, and so I just got fed up with that, and so I was like, dude, I'm just gonna rock the glide cam. Yeah. And there were plenty of people, you know, like was it Devin Graham? Is that his name?
Oh yeah.
You know, watching him, and then watching like the guys who are now Kurza, but watching all those guys do it, like they're pros. But I was like, dude, like their stuff looks amazing. Like it can be done.
Even like Daniel Vorlay.
Oh yeah, Daniel's exactly the perfect example.
Yeah, Michael Monaco. Yeah, like they were. It's like I feel like anytime I saw a camera in Monaco's hands, it was all glide cam.
Yep. Same with Daniel. Same with Daniel. Daniel's a stud with the glide cam on the road. Daniel, I mean, he's a stud with it now, obviously, because that's what he does. But Daniel was. At the time I moved here, like I wanted to be Daniel, if I'm being honest. Like he was so smooth out there. His edits were fantastic. And I was just like, dude, if I could be half of Daniel Vorlay, like I'm gonna be well off. Like I'm
dude, fine. He's gonna be stoked to hear that.
Good.
One,
play that clip for him. He's gonna roll his eyes and make fun of me probably.
Daniel, we had Daniel on the podcast, and you know how he is on. I don't know if you've ever been with him on set or anything. When he works, he's just so like straight, doesn't smile. Dude, he would not shut up. He was smiling. He was laughing. He's having the best time. You know?
There's a reason he toured for so many years. He's a great hang, whatever. But he also is really good to lock in what he needs to.
Yeah.
And
I love that dude so much, man.
Me too.
I have him on any shoot that I could have him on.
Same.
And the great thing is, it's like, we could just look at each other and he knows, you know, and I trust that because he gets it. He comes from like, you know, what's great about him is like, you know, how important it is to have like timing and musical timing.
Yes.
He nails that.
Exactly.
He is like dead on with everything.
Exactly.
You know?
Like you don't have to be yelling from behind the, you know, video village of like, and go, like he's just already he's already on his way, he's moving, like and that's just such an underrated thing.
Every time I'm on headset with him or something, I'm always like, dude, you know what to do.
Nailed it. Yeah, exactly. Right. He does, and you're like, nailed it.
Yep.
Like, great job. That's a wrap. Like next scene, whatever.
Right, exactly. Dude, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Obviously, you were doing a lot of photos and video combined, right? Because there's been some people that just do photos or just do video or whatever like that. But on the process of like, I mean, obviously, when you were working with Devin, it was black and white stuff, so a lot of editing was like very easy for you. Yeah. But what, like, on a tour like Devin, like, what was the process on that, like editing and stuff like that?
Yeah. So Devin had never really had a full time, not that I was full time, but like a person out for an entire tour.
Right.
Up until that point, like I was. Like I think the first one, he'd had people out for weekends here and there and friends and stuff like that. Yeah. But to have someone out that, hey, you're here for the whole tour, like let's kind of figure this out. And so obviously everyone else was doing recaps, and so we kind of hopped in with it. So we, you know, kind of discussed looks that he liked a lot, and you know, artists that he liked what they're putting out and things like that. One person we dove in a lot, and at that time really loved what they were putting out was G-Eazy.
Oh yeah.
He was very heavily black and white, and just, you know, that kind of a vibe, and just also the musicality of whoever, I don't even know who was doing his edits at the time. I can't remember his name, but that style of video, he was all for it. Like that was the thing. So I kind of went off that personally for the video route, trying to just make sure, especially on like a arena tour when he's open for Tim and Faith, like make him look larger than life.
Yeah.
Really just go for the big shots and just kind of continue to build him, build him up. Cause that was, like when I started my first week, with Devin was actually when his, single All On Me peaked at number 2 on the charts. And they, a lot of people thought it was going number 1, and unfortunately it peaked at number 2. The day after I shot my first show with him was after that. Talk about a weird vibe to walk into.
Right.
They've been out on the road pushing this single that was a smash.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that single has like 200 million streams right now. Like, it was a smash. And then you're there the day it loses by 1 spin.
Oh my God.
And I show up the day after. Hey guys, good to meet you. You know what I mean? And so anyway, that's what I walked into. But they were fantastic about it. He's a champ for it. Anyway, so going back to the G-Eazy, that was the look we were going for. And then as far as like turnarounds, what we did on like a night-to-night basis was I'd make sure to get him stills at least by the next day. And then videos was usually like one a weekend, and then any like clips that he liked maybe from the night before of, hey, we this was great live last night, do you have anything from this, pull little clips here and there from the show for the next day. But yeah, that was kind of the workload. Like I said, we were kind of learning together.
I feel like it's important too for photographers and videographers that may be watching this, that like turning stuff around quickly is very important when you're working for an artist. Absolutely. Or if management is asking for it and stuff like that. So it's like that's one important thing that you have to kind of be accustomed to too, is getting stuff turned around really fast. Absolutely. Which means like you have to take the time to like really practice how to edit and stuff, because like if you don't know how to edit and you're taking a couple days to edit, you're missing that moment that's already 2 days gone.
Exactly.
And you can't do that in these days.
No, not at all. Not at all. Even by the time you post it, it's probably too late. You know what I mean? Like
I know. It's funny because it's like we'll do recap videos and I feel like, okay, cool, that was the weekend, but man, that first show is 3 days ago.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
Wild.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was one thing when I moved here, luckily working at the radio station, like I said, I worked for 4 radio stations. We put out a lot of content. I think my last year that I was there, we put out somewhere like 600 or 700 videos in like a year.
Wow.
Like they weren't all like fully produced, like whatever, but like in terms of some kind of social video, some kind of client, something, we put out about 600 or so videos. So I mean, that was like a couple of videos a day of just cranking it out, going up, shooting it, doing a quick edit, putting some logos, whatever it was, getting it out and just being okay with it. Not being overly precious, with it. And it kind of trained me in a great sense for this job. To be able to just take it and run with it and figure it out.
Well, it's cool. I mean, it's I'm loving this story so far because I love that like you had gotten kind of thrown into the little elements of like, just like you're saying about the editing and being able to go to a show and shoot like Luke Bryan. It was almost like you were getting this like almost like this free training.
Oh,
into
absolutely.
Like what you're doing now.
Oh, absolutely. I was.
And it's like maybe then you didn't even know like what was going to happen.
No.
But now looking back at it, you're like, oh shit, that was like, that was like my training.
Yeah. At that time, I don't even know if I knew like this was a job.
Right.
Not fully, at least. Especially once I like at the Luke Bryan show that I've mentioned. I don't know if I knew that this was even a thing.
Right. Like it's a fun job.
Like I thought, like I said, I thought I'd made it about as far as I could. Like I was like, I don't think I can get closer to Luke than where I am right now. Yeah. So yeah.
So after Dev, so what happened there? Like, did you just stop with Devin, or did you get another job, or did you? Yeah. What happened there?
Yeah. So like I said, Devin, we went through about 2019. He did a headlining tour in 2019, and then. I worked for other artists at that point too. So I hopped out and did some weekends with Dan and Shay. I started working for Miranda Lambert. I did Parker McCollum for a little bit. Just, I'd been in Nashville long enough. I'd met enough people that I started taking other folks on, and Devin went to work on new music. So Devin was in the studio for, a couple months or something, working on new music, cutting it and writing it and stuff like that. And then as, he was going to release that music. He released it, and then shortly after 2020, things kind of took a turn. And so, just didn't tour just didn't happen for him at that point. And so, I started working with people.
How did all those connections come about?
Yeah.
Like after, going out with Dan and Shay, I mean, these are major artists. I mean, Dan and Shay, Miranda Lambert, and how did all that like connections happen for you?
So Dan and Shay was through Devin. They're on the same management group, Sandbox.
Yeah.
And Devin also opened for them for a tour. That was the first time I ever went overseas to do a tour. He opened for them, and they played the UK and Scotland.
Oh, nice.
For like a 2-week run or something like that. And like I said, Devin was the opener, and Dan and Shay, the first time I ever got to shoot for them was for that. We were over there. Dan and Shay didn't have a video or photo person on the tour with them. And so come the last show in London, after Devin's set, the tour manager Mikey came up to me and asked, he's like, hey, would you be down to shoot some video and some stuff for the guys tonight? And I was already a Dan and Shay fan. There aren't many people, like I said, I wasn't a huge country fan, but there were a few that I had gone to shows of. I'd been to 2 Dan and Shay shows before I again knew that this was a job. Right. I'd been to a couple of their shows, and so for their tour manager to come over and be like, hey, would you be down? I'm like, dude, say less. Like, he's like, we can work out, we can pay you this. I was like, dude, I don't like, let's talk about it, but not my concern right now. Where do I need to be? And I ran it by Devin, obviously, like, Devin's the one that brought me out there. And he's like, dude, have at it. He still gives me crap for it today. He's like, dude, I've never seen you smile so big at a show than when you came to ask me if you could shoot Dan and Shay that night.
That's funny.
Because like I said, it was just like a full circle. Like, dude, I love these guys. Like, I'm a big fan of these guys. And then I, met Dan and Shay, and I asked Dan, I was like, what do you want? What are you looking for? Whatever. He's like, dude, we've seen your stuff. You have free reign.
Amazing.
Just do. If you think it's gonna be cool, do it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
That's how it works, man.
And that's what we did. It's still one of my favorite recaps that I've ever done. And so, that was at least the Dan and Shay portion. And then, like I said, from that, just different work that they needed.
We'll have to show that recap.
Oh, we can show a clip. I'm down. I'm super down.
And dude, Shay, what a singer, dude.
Shay rolls out of bed, the best singer in Nashville, which is insane.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Like, that dude, it was funny because Dan and Shay, when I was out with Chris Young, they were opening for Chris.
Dude, that was one of the shows I went to.
No way.
I think. Yeah. Was that like wasn't it? It was like 2016?
16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they played indie. They played the Shed out there.
I was there.
That was that was one of my first shows.
Really?
Not first shows, but yeah.
That's
because I remember I still get the reminder on my phone or whatever from that day. Yeah, that was one of the times I saw them. That's hilarious.
I was there.
I should have paid more attention to know that job was a thing, because you were probably around somewhere.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
That's funny, man. Yeah, Shay's a hell of a singer, dude.
Yeah.
Like every time that
and performer,
exactly.
The most natural performer.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he's on or off stage, first of all, either. Dude's just
every time they opened for Chris, man, a few of us would always just kind of stand in front of the house and watch the show. And every time he would just nail it. And just that voice just resonating through every building that we were in. It was just unreal, man. Unreal.
Oh, yeah.
And what a guy, too. Like,
dude, exactly.
Both of them are just crazy talented.
Oh, yeah. I say all the time, because people always ask, when you do this kind of a job, what are they like? Like, are they nice or whatever? I was like, in Nashville, I don't know of many people who've made it like very far being a dick.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, most people at the top are pretty great people.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Because I can tell you some of the assholes kind of fell off.
Exactly. Like, if you made it this far, especially for a long time, like, you're not a jerk. Like, you're a good dude. You take care of your people. Like, you treat people well. Like, and that's,
it starts from the top.
It absolutely does.
Every crew, every band that I've ever been on the road with or worked with, it's like, it starts from the top. If you've got an artist that is a class act, the whole crew and the whole band and everybody involved is a class act.
Absolutely.
And that's super important. You don't find that too often, I feel like, in the whole genre of music, but like, man, in country music, there's just something about it, man.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time, that it's just like this country music community in Nashville is just such like this little family.
Absolutely.
And that's just a bonus.
Yeah.
You know, we get to do what we love, but there's a bonus there too. You know, Absolutely. It's like everybody kind of has everybody's back, you know, so it's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So then you did the Dan and Shay thing. Did you go and do more stuff with them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I did, you know, some behind the scenes on some music videos, did other shows with them. Did plenty of other things with them. I still, anytime they call, I'm super down. They put on a great show. They also like really understand what we do. Yeah. And I love that. Like Shay loves playing to the camera. I remember I did their first show in Nashville at Bridgestone when the first time they were going to do their arena tour was supposed to happen. Then it unfortunately got canceled shortly after. But I did the very first show in Nashville. And I remember, again, Dan says the same thing. It's just, hey, if you think it's cool, do it. Right. You know, like don't run into the confetti when it blows off. Other than that, like have fun, you know? Exactly. And so I remember I was on stage. I was, I either just made a pass like on stage or something or was about to. And Shay saw me walk up, and so naturally you kind of walked to my side, and I, was filming it. And then he started walking to me, and he just reaches out and like just takes my glide cam, and just does a whole lap around the stage of like just the glide cam like this way. Everyone's going crazy. Confetti goes off. It's one of my favorite shots ever. And at that point, I literally was on stage. I never do this, but I just pulled out my phone and just started recording on my phone. So I was like, what is happening? Like, we're in Bridgestone, like whatever. He just goes up and, selfie cams real quick and runs up and down the stage. Turned out. Yeah, it did turn out. Oh, man. That's absolutely. So cool. So, yeah, stuff like that.
I remember when Chris Young would steal my camera, I would always shoot this bit where he would do I'm Coming Over. Oh, and he would sing along have the crowd sing along to him. And I would get up behind him and shoot it so we get the cool crowd shot behind him and stuff like that, or in front of him. Yep. And so I would have like my R5. I think it was an R5 back then. I don't forget what I was using. Maybe it was the Mark IV or something I was using at the time. Yeah. But I'll never forget, he would take my camera some nights and just grab it and just do like kind of these things,
like a 180 kind of,
And I'll never forget, there was one night I was shooting on red. I was shooting the red camera.
That's no joke to one hand.
And I came back from behind and I was like shooting it because I wanted to get a really clean shot of the look. Yeah. And he turns around and he goes to grab it. And he looks at the camera and he goes, and I'm like, no, dude.
You're like, this isn't gonna go well. Trust me.
You ain't taking this one, man. He knew exactly what it was too. So he was funny. Like, all right, cool. I'll just turn around and sing.
Yeah, that's funny.
But those are moments, man. Those are great moments.
I love. I mean, one of the best parts about doing it is living long enough so you can tell those stories, right?
Exactly.
It's like
exactly.
It's money.
Well, and it's cool too because it's like, I mean, we kind of go into like being on the stage and stuff like that. It's like you feel like a lot of photographers and videographers, you see their content guy now on stages. Yeah. Because the perspective is cool. Mm-hmm. It's like back in the day, I feel like a lot of, videographers and photographers, they're like, no, I can't go on the stage, whether the performance and stuff like that. But now it's like, it's a thing. You always see like the photographer trying to get that great shot that the crowd can't see, until they post it on Instagram or something later, or you put it in a recap video, which is just such a cool, fun, dramatic shot, that's like, it's so key.
I'm a sucker for it still. Yeah. I love it. Like, it's also like one of the few shots that no one else can get. Yeah. No other front, there's 8 cameras up front. There's everyone with a cell phone. No one else can get that shot but you.
Exactly.
So to be entrusted, to not only be on the stage, but to be out there, make the moment worth it, make the shot, as doing it justice to the moment as well as you can. Like that's such a responsibility, and like to have like that honor is like,
nice. Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly. Another thing that I saw on like that I would see on your Instagram and stuff like that, you did like a lot of like 3D photo stuff.
Yeah.
Like I remember I commented on one of them, like, dude, this is sick. I think it was like Lily Rose thing that you did. Yeah. And I was like, damn, man. Yeah. Do you ever do any of that stuff anymore? Or?
Yeah, here and there. Yeah. I can't take full credit for that. That's inspired by, I don't know if you know who Spencer Miller is.
Dude.
Of course. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So Spencer Miller, I mean, he really made, I feel like, that look famous. Again, I don't know if he's going to take credit for making it or anything like that, but I mean, he took that obviously to another level. And so watching that, doing my at least poor man's version of it, I mean, that was just, that all came from there. And, I do some here and there.
Spencer's a badass,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I want him on the show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. In a second.
Yeah.
You want me to text? I'll text him.
I know.
We just did he did an edit for Tim.
I saw it.
Yeah.
The McGraw thing.
Yeah.
It was funny because we were watching it the other day, like this thing that he did for Keith Urban.
Yeah.
And, oh my God.
Insane.
Man.
Yeah. I remember. Brendan said he had him out. I'm like, dude, tell me when that video goes out because I'm front and center, dude.
And some of the stuff that he's done in the hockey thing, it's like,
he's done hockey. He's done like Disney. He's done he's done so many
unreal.
things. Dude's a stud.
Yeah. I want him to. We got to figure out a carry thing. It would be kind of cool.
In a second,
to do. That would be super, super rad.
Oh yeah.
Tell me a little bit too, because like I see that you edit a lot of music videos.
Yeah.
Which it's wild to me because I feel like, obviously coming from the tour photographer and videographer world, how did you get into doing the music videos? How did you connect with that?
Yeah. Well, one just came from my love of editing in general. Like I love that portion of it.
Yeah.
For from the road and anything like that. And so the first person to kind of give me a chance was Justin Clough here in town. He's a big loud. Yeah. Yep. He's that dude. Yeah. In my opinion, like he's such a film buff and also just gets it. I can't say enough good things about Justin.
Yeah.
And so Justin and I connected. He directed a video for Devin. He did a music video for Devin, and I shot the behind the scenes for it, and it was a good behind the scenes video. He loved it. And he was like, "Dude, that's like killer." He's like, "Have you ever thought about like doing edits for like music videos, stuff like that?" And I was like, "Not really, to be honest. Like I just hadn't. I don't know. That wasn't really on my radar at the time. Like I said, I was new to Nashville at that point, and so I was just, whatever anyone asked me to do, I was up for it. But I didn't necessarily have like a huge want to necessarily do that. It wasn't like I'm gonna do that one day. And so he gave me a shot and edited a few videos that he directed at Big Loud. Did like a Mason Ramsey. Did what was some of the other first ones? A couple of Chris Lane videos. And different ones there. And like I said, we kind of spoke the same language. I think a little bit. There was a lot of because it's I think hard to teach sometimes like musicality. Yeah. And like understanding like if a cut should be on the beat, if it should come just before it, let the action go on the beat, if this narrative needs more pacing to it, just a lot of things that are just sometimes hard to communicate, that if you kind of link up with the right director and you guys just kind of understand each other, like it just makes that process a lot simpler. And I think Justin and I kind of had that like link in a bit.
That's really cool. Yeah. Cause I feel like, obviously when we do recap videos on the road, I mean, there's not really necessarily like a narrative or a story there. It's just pretty much a highlight reel, of the weekend. So it's like, you getting into kind of more of the narrative and the storytelling part of the editing, which I feel like is probably one of the most important parts.
Oh, easily.
Of a music video.
It's also the hardest part, in my opinion.
Yeah, because the director obviously is responsible for getting the story caught on film, but now you're telling the story almost, Yeah. So that's a thing.
Absolutely. He helped me a lot with that, because that was definitely an area, especially when you're not on set to see it all happen and you're not feeling it, to just be handed the footage and then figure out the pacing that was in his head. Like that's not always the easiest thing to do. And so, he helped me out a lot with the narrative portion and just like really feeling out like the narrative scenes, because he loves narrative directing. He loves that kind of a thing, telling a story. He's very, very good at it. Yeah. And so, like I said, he helped me, not only gave me the first kind of chance, an opportunity, also just helped me grow a lot in that aspect. And, which led me to then, working with two other incredible directors that I just couldn't speak higher of, TK McCamey and then Spidey Smith. Yep. Like two just legends here in town. Exactly. That, somehow hit my line. Yeah. To also take a stab at one of the things they directed.
Yeah. Do you ever go on set?
Yeah, I have been on set a few times. I went on a set for a few times with Justin.
Of a video that you're editing?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love, whenever I can, I love that. One, I just love being on set and seeing it all happen. But, I mean, in post, it saves so much time to just know, hey, first 5 takes are here, don't watch them. Like, they didn't get the line right, or he wasn't even looking the right way, whatever, right? Yeah. Don't worry about those. Last 2 are the ones you need. Or, like, when you see something in camera that's like, oh, that look, what take was that? Sick, cool. I'll look for that. Like, you know what I mean? Just to see, it just saves you a lot of time. Then also just you can get the vibe of the director, like when shots are taken that he's really happy with or that they're really happy with. Yeah. It just helps you be so much more prepared going into the edit. You have the vibe down already.
Yeah, it's funny you say that with all the takes and stuff. It's like whenever I edit one of my music videos, I always work back from the last take to the first take, because I always feel like, when you're on set and you've nailed the 6th take,
absolutely,
why not do a 7th and then start working your way back in the edit?
Yep, I do the same way. Yeah. When I go into an edit, I'll usually start with the last take and work toward the front. And if I start to see like take 2 and 3 really didn't have it, somehow I'll even look at take 1 and I'm just like, dude, 5 and 6 were killer. If they come back and say, hey, did you see this thing in take 1? We'll go back there. But yeah, absolutely.
So what music videos have you edited?
Yeah, so like I said, I've done the Mason Ramsey. I did one with Spidey for Chris Jansen. Also did one for Yellow Wolf.
Awesome.
That was killer. Dude. Spidey, they did a whole week, I think, in Vegas and shot like 5 or no, I'm sorry, they shot like maybe 8. I don't want to.
Yeah, and they've worked together for a long time.
Oh too. Their chemistry is unmatched, and so they shot a ton. And so he had a whole team of like 4 or 5 different editors, and they were all, because it was for Yellow Wolf's rock album that he was putting out, and so we were all cranking on videos all at the same time. He was just bouncing around from house to house, coming in, because Spidey likes to be in the room. He likes to get in the trenches with you, like and so he was down to. He came over to my house, and we sat in and on for a day or two, because I remember when I think Dalton was who initially asked me, who works with Dalton a lot as a DP and whatnot, and he's like, hey, Spidey would like to work with you. At one point, I'm like, dude, I'm in. Yeah. And he asked for my availability. And I was like, oh, well, I'm out. I think I'm out this weekend, but I'm back like for these 3 days, right? And I was like, so like any of these days, like I'm down. He's like, no. Yeah. You're gonna need like a week or like or something. And I was like, what? Like I don't get it. And then he came over and was like, oh, I get it. Like he made me appreciate like really taking each shot and finding that just diamond, right? Finding that diamond in the rough and just, hey, go through, be thorough with all the footage, pull your selects, be specific with them, so that, when you get down the line and you need something to fit in, you're like, dude, I know I have this clip right here, boom, like, oh, this fits. And you have that moment of like, dude, I never would have put that there, right? But it fits and it makes the whole video, you know what I mean? And so he made me like really, he's so engaged in every project he does. Like he really, and I appreciate that about him a lot, because I feel like nowadays we get really caught up with, we're doing a video now, doing the edit, whatever, but I also have one tomorrow, and we just kind of like roll through projects a little bit too quickly. And he's very precious about each project. He, wants to make sure he gets every little bit out of it. He wants every moment to be a great moment. Every frame that's on screen better be beautiful. Like, and he just really keeps it sacred, and I appreciate that a lot. And it changed kind of the way I went about it.
You have to do it. It's your work.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like you're putting that out. That lives there forever. Yep. You want it to be right and perfect. Absolutely. And as perfect as you can get it.
I thought I had that same mentality. Right. But then, like I said, he came in with just so much passion. It was just so inspiring. So that changed me a lot as an editor. But the one I did for TK McCamey was for Maddie and Tay. And that was the first video that I edited that ever won an award. It won the CMT award. I think 2 years, like 2021, something like 2 years ago. That's cool. So I can't remember which award it was. It was like Duo Video of the Year or something like that. But that was a fun one, and I was super grateful to get to work with him. Like I said, he was a name I knew before I even moved to town. So
isn't that crazy that you were like in Indy so many years ago, and now it's like CMT award for editing.
Unreal.
You're an editor on a CMT award-winning video.
Yeah, that was like sick. Like, I remember sending that text to my mom. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, you watched, like, the one you watched last night? Like, that was that's mine. Amazing. She's like, holy smokes.
Now, I know that you edited a McGraw video, too.
I did, yeah. That was the most recent one. Probably was his. It was actually the last song of his that just went number one. Like a month ago. It was Standing Room Only.
Yeah. What else have you done after the Maddie and Tay one?
So the Maddie and Tay, like I said, was a few years ago, and then the Spidey came after that. actually, and then the Tim video, and then I'm trying to think of the other ones that I've done recently. I haven't done as much recently since I've started working for Tim these last couple of years, to be honest.
You've been too busy because I've reached out to you and you've been too busy.
I know. I was gonna say but that's great. I was gonna say, I don't say yes as much as I want to, unfortunately. But yeah, the last few years not as much. It was more, like I said, coming out of COVID when I was home for a lot of it. Yeah. Really diving into that, and then leading up to.
How was that for you in the COVID era? Were you busy too? Because I feel like a lot of content people were really busy. I mean, in that time.
I wasn't as busy as I was. Right. Like I was definitely way busier because I really leaned into the road and being out, and like that was kind of the thing I leaned into the most. A lot of other friends of mine previously leaned into like music videos and doing more work around town rather than out on the road. And so, I wasn't nearly as busy as I was. I mean, I still, like, things were going on, things were happening, but it was a different kind of busy. It was hey, we're doing a live stream, or hey, we're doing a, go to this business. Like I shot for a couple bars, like Tin Roof a couple times, or it was just different clientele, different kind of work. Like, obviously because it wasn't on the road. COVID was tough, to be honest, for me. Yeah. Like I said, I moved here in 2018, and I was really on the road mostly for my first 2 years. Yeah. So like I still didn't really feel home yet in Nashville by the time that hit. Yeah. And so to then be like sequestered home to like a city that like I said, I knew people, but I wasn't in the routine of like being around those people in town every single day. You know what I mean? And so it was just like, I don't know, it was kind of tough to kind of find out what I looked like being in Nashville all the time, and so it wasn't the easiest thing in the world, and what you love to do, the reason you moved here got taken away from you too.
And it's just shut down.
Exactly. And you also didn't know when it was going to come back. And so it was it was
a wild time.
It was not an easy thing, mentally especially.
Would you ever direct anything?
I have directed.
You have?
Yeah.
What did you do?
A good amount. So I've done like a few Devin videos for Devin.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And so I've done a few of those. Did one for Mackenzie Porter. Did a video for a few videos for Lakeview. They're a country duo here in town. I directed something recently for Tim the last couple of times. And so I've directed a good bit here in town.
Was that something you ever wanted, like back in the day? Were you like, man, I want to be a director?
It was definitely something that I once I kind of got into video, I'd always kind of considered for sure. Yeah. When I moved to town, I didn't know if that transition was going to happen. I assumed I might have a chance at some point. I just didn't know how that, I was going to get from A to B, if that makes sense. And so, it was definitely something I was super on board for. I was, like I said, my college job, I was a dancer, but I was also like a hip hop instructor and choreographer. And so I taught classes and stuff. And so I was super comfortable with, being in charge of a room. Yeah. Of people, 50, 60 people, and making sure, everyone was on the same page and things like that. And I also directed in college, like doing like live productions and stuff like that. So I was somewhat comfortable at least in that realm. My biggest thing is I just didn't have on-set experience like at all. Yeah. I didn't know. I still probably don't know as much as I should, but going into it, I was just so green. And actually this is actually the first video I directed in town, again, was Justin Clough. He gave me the opportunity to direct a video for Hardy.
Oh, no way.
And I was like the very beginning of Hardy. It was for his song Sign Sober You. And Justin was kind of like the executive producer in a way, basically just because, like I said, that's what he does. He directs for Big Loud. He directs for all these artists, and he, saw something in me and was like, dude, I think you could do this. Like, do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah. He's like, write me a treatment. If it's good, I'll pitch it. And if they like it, we'll roll with it.
Amazing.
Went with it. And, he, like I said, kind of walked me through the things I didn't know. Right. But I showed up and had my DP was Chris Adams. And
Chris is awesome.
Chris is amazing. I had watched Chris is DP'd for a while, and he had done a video on with Seth Worley, I think. And it was on the YouTube channel called Film Riot, which is like a YouTube channel with like tips and tricks for editing and stuff like that. And he was the DP for one of the short films that they posted on that channel. And when he showed up, I was like, dude, you look so familiar. Like, I feel like, have we met? No. And then I remember I went back like a month or two down the road and I watched that video again for some reason, and it was like a behind the scenes interviewing, and it was like of Chris Adams. Dude, I nerded out so hard. Like I called him like immediately. He's like at home when his kids having dinner, and I was like, dude, you did this. Like this is how I know you, man. Like you were part of like helping me learn how to do this at all. He's like, dude, you're making me feel old. Shut up. Like that is funny, anyway, man. But anyway, yeah. So that was my first on set kind of experience, was directing. Yeah. And like I said, I was honestly out of my depth a little bit, but video, I mean, it went well, you know, like.
So did you edit it?
Yeah, did the edit for it too. So that was different. It was a lot of learning that, like I said, I wouldn't have a shot of making it successful without Justin. So
do you feel like when you got pushed into that like kind of director role for that and editing, how was that being like a director knowing that you were editing? Did it make it easier to be like,
oh, absolutely.
Okay, we got it. We're moving on.
Made it way easier. Yeah, absolutely. And also, again, coming from like a touring background, like you said, we kind of just get highlights and we kind of have to make it in post. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so to actually go in, like having things set up for you to succeed, right? You know, in post was like, dude, I've done so much more with so much less. Right. Like, you know, so it was honestly probably hard to be nitpicky for me to you know, because I'd see a take, I'm like, dude, that was like 80%, like that was like I could make a killer edit from that, like that'd be fine, you know what I mean? But to really make sure, you know, that the artist felt good, or that, you know, the management or the label, whoever, like made sure they felt really good. So to just hone in more and almost just demand more was probably the thing I probably struggled with the most on set, was just kind of being picky about things and making sure, you know, you get the best out of the moment and the best of use of the time, and making sure that in post, like that frame's going to be perfect and beautiful and everything. So that was probably a tougher aspect for me.
What program do you use for editing?
I use Premiere Pro.
You do? Yeah. Gotcha. Have you ever thought about jumping into DaVinci?
100%. I think about it every day of my life. I'm not kidding. I think my Instagram and TikTok feed is every other video. I think it's like, when I finally switched to DaVinci, like, dude, yes,
it's
all the
really
time.
It's really funny because I would edit in Premiere. Well, I started in Final Cut.
I did too.
Yeah, and then when Final Cut went to Final Cut 10, I was like, okay, what else is there?
And I started on Final Cut 10.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Man, I felt it was so difficult for some reason.
Well, it was just, for me, like, I could just buy the program. Yeah. I had a Mac. Yeah. And so I was like, dude, one-time payment. Yeah. I'm like, this is something I want to get into anyway. Say less. Like, I'm in. So I remember just buying it and figuring it out. Because our school, University of Indianapolis, we had Avid. Oh, wow. I hated Avid. Yeah. I didn't want any part of Avid. Right. But then we also had After Effects. Right. So, like, I was learning two different things. And so, I remember when Final Cut came across, I was like, dude, I'm getting this. I don't care what you guys are doing. Right. I'm editing my stuff on this now. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because I did normal, or the old Final Cut. I kind of grew with it, and then when 10 hit, I was like, oh man, they're gonna make Final Cut like obsolete. I felt like, and so I made the jump over to Premiere. Somebody was like, oh, you got to go over to Premiere. Yeah, and then like it was such a seamless, just quick transition. Yeah, but then. A buddy of mine, I don't know if you know Brandon Boyd or not. He's an editor here in town. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know his name. Yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff with me. He was like, dude, you got to try DaVinci. And I'm like, oh, man, all right, maybe I will, And then the first edit I did in DaVinci, I'm like, nope, all right, cool, I'm staying here.
Dude, I'm going to download it tonight, man. Gosh.
It'll change. Dude, I mean, honestly, it's so good. I know. Because the thing is, it's like everything is so like, I feel like it's in one spot. Dylan, you cut in DaVinci as well.
Dude, Dylan, what are you doing to me, man? I'm like cornered right now. You do too? Dude, I've been set up.
I know. Yeah. Maybe Blackmagic will give me some free shit for.
They should. You're definitely filming on one right now, aren't you?
Right. You know? I know, right?
Yeah, wink.
But photos, what do you edit in?
Lightroom Classic and Photoshop.
Yeah. Are you said something about After Effects. Are you an After Effects guy?
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, that was, like I said, we didn't have Premiere or anything. We had Avid, and I learned enough of Avid to pass classes. Yeah. But we had After Effects, and that's what I really kind of dove into when I first like really started getting into editing.
Do you still use it?
Here and there, I don't use it on the road as much. More so just like we mentioned, the time, like just taking the time to to sit down for an hour or two to do a 3D photo or like a little graphic or like a some masking effect or whatever, tracking, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to justify sometimes, and so I would love to use it more on the road. I think I'm gonna upgrade to the new MacBook Pro hopefully here soon,
and DaVinci Resolve,
potentially DaVinci Resolve, and just have a much more powerful laptop to do that on. And I think I could see myself doing it more often. But that's kind of like I started. Those were the first tutorials, watching like Andrew Kramer and stuff doing like Video Copilot. Like those were the first tutorials I was watching in college.
Amazing.
Like at like 2 a.m. in the edit suite, like trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I still don't have it figured out as much as I want to, but
I don't think any of us do.
No, not at all.
I'm still learning, dude. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm still trying to figure it all out.
It's one of the best parts, though, too.
But that's the cool thing. It's like that's the creative part of it. I mean, if we knew everything, we'd be just kind of like, all right, what's next?
We'd be spinning our tires. Like, what are we doing?
Exactly. Yeah. So, connecting with Miranda.
Yeah.
Like, how'd that come about?
Dude, I love this story. At the time, I had a manager at that time that was, just kind of helping me with gigs. And I think I was driving home from a gig, and I was checking my email, and I got an email from Marion Craft. And however, they didn't really have any like signature or anything like that. It was just like, I think it was basically, "Hi, I'm Marion. I'm the manager for Miranda Lambert. We're looking for people to cover these dates of shows." I don't even think she said like how I found you or anything. Like it might have been so-and-so found you. I don't know. I don't fully remember, but it was just very straight to the point, and just said, "Let me know if you're interested." And she just like typed her name, Marion, and it wasn't like, there was no business address. There was no phone number. It looked like it's typed on an iPhone at like a lunch period. Right. So I remember I screenshotted it and sent it to my manager. I was like, "Is this real? Like, am I being like, if I respond, am I going to get hacked? Like, is this like, there's no way." Cause also at the time I hadn't really shot, like I'd shot for Devin, but I hadn't really, and like Dan and Shay, like here and there, but I hadn't really shot for like Miranda Lambert, you know what I mean? Like that level of an artist. And so I was like, "Dude, is this a joke?" And so anyway, he responded. He's like, "I mean, that's the right name." Like, he's like, "I've met her once or twice. Like, that's the right name. I think it's the right email." He's like, "Respond to it. Like, why would you not?" And so I responded, and hopped out on her wild card tour for a few dates. And I love.
When was
the
wild card tour? Was that?
It was the end of 2019, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was the first time I hopped out. It was like the end of 2019.
Yeah. Yep. And how many dates did you do on that one?
Off that like first email, I think it was like, I think I said I could do like 3 weekends. I think it was something like that. And so, because they like to, have different photographers out, get different perspectives and stuff.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, I said yes to all the dates she asked for. But yeah, and so that was just, I remember just thinking like, no way, I just got this email on like a random Wednesday at 4 p.m. or whatever. Like, what?
Thinking you're getting hacked.
Yeah, but also in just not knowing, sometimes, you have buddies that recommend you for things like, "Hey, by the way, if so-and-so hits you up, I recommended you for this." So, so it's, where it came from. I didn't get any of that. It was just a random, like email that looked like I typed it. You know what I mean? Like, so, I remember it was just crazy.
So what was it like, on a weekend with Miranda?
Gosh, they're awesome. I love that camp. They're one of my favorite camps in town, because it was immediately just so welcoming, from, Kurt, the tour manager, to the Eric, the production manager, to Miranda herself. They were just, everybody was so welcoming, and so just like grateful to have me there as a new face to try things out. And one thing that I try to do, especially now, I don't know if I was conscious of it then, was just trying to really lead with like respectfulness, and kind of treating being there as sacred, being around the stage or on the stage, it's just sacred, and just like overdoing it in that aspect a little bit, not trying to show up and be Miranda's best friend, or like, hey, let's grab drinks and chat. Like, none of that. Just, overdo it on that end, then show what you can do. Right. Yeah. Hey, send them a bunch of killer work afterward. And then if they want to be like, "Dude, I didn't even talk to you last night hardly. And it was like, but these are killer. You know what I mean? Then it's just like, just it goes so much better.
That's the great thing about when you work with an artist. It's like you gotta, as a photographer and videographer, you have to know when to be here.
Yeah.
But then you have to know when to be back here.
You also have to earn when to be there, in my opinion,
exactly. Yeah. Because you know, you don't want to, you want to stay within the realm of their space, but you want to like stay away from the creative space too. You know what I mean? And it's like, you got to let them breathe. It's like videographers and photographers that are up in your face all the time, it could get a little annoying.
Absolutely,
you know?
it can.
And a lot of the stuff that we do anyway, it's very BTS looking.
Exactly.
So you want to stay kind of back behind and give them that room to kind of breathe and do their thing.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
You know, and it's like, you know, there's times where there's some artists I've worked for that are like, you were there.
Exactly. No, right.
know? And that's like the best compliment you could ever get.
100%.
That's like better than like, the work is awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, you were there. That's like the best compliment.
Yeah.
You know, because then you really did your job.
Yep.
You know, and you still captured the moments.
Yep.
You
exactly. And then also they see, or they don't see you, and you still get that. Then they're comfortable with you, and they're like, no, I want you here.
Yeah.
Imagine then, like, what you can get when they want you, like when they want you there in their space. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, if I can do this and you didn't even know I was there.
Yeah.
If you invite me in, like, it's only going to get better. Yep. You know what I mean? And so
true, man.
Yeah,
so true.
I'm so in the same light of, especially working for like that level of an artist, like a Miranda or a Tim, or even like a Dana Shay or somebody. Like, I'm still of somewhat of the mindset of like keeping the stage is like, that's pretty sacred. Like, don't be out there just to be out there. Don't be out there, you know, waiting for a shot or, you know, switching a lens. Like none of that. Like, if you're out there, you better be out there for a reason, and you know your time better be maximized while you're out there.
And wear
you know?
your show blacks.
Oh yeah, wear your show blacks. Absolutely. I will say that took me a little bit.
Right.
That took me a little bit to fully understand. Now I wasn't out there with like all white on or anything like that, but it was just like like once you got to that level, especially, I was like, oh yeah, no, you got to be in show blacks for this for sure, because it's not about you. It's about the moment. It's about their moment, rather, and you just trying to capture it as well as you can without ruining that moment. Yeah, I mean, to this day, knock on all the wood I have, my worst fear is just biting it on stage. You know,
dude,
like,
I've seen those videos. Man.
And not even just off stage and actually getting hurt, but just.
Have you seen that video? The guy just like out on the ramp, and then he just he's like backing up.
Falls
and he falls
in the gap. Yeah,
that's like the worst nightmare, man.
Absolutely.
God, and it's funny because every time I'm on stage, I feel like my foot is always kind of figuring out the placing while I'm still trying to shoot. You
Absolutely.
know? But it's like, oh my God.
Thank God for a steady cam, because otherwise, like, you'd see a lot of this.
Right.
Some tilts, making sure that I'm not tripping on a cord or kicking a light over or whatever.
Or stepping on a guitar player's pedal board.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, I'm sure now that I said that, insert clip here of me tripping on Tim's tour this year.
It won't happen.
But like, dude,
it won't happen.
Yeah, worst nightmare for sure. And not even more so just getting hurt, but just ruining the moment. Yeah, you know, like you're not up there to make it about you whatsoever, and for you to bite it and just, you know, have to clean yourself up, get off, and like to have it'd
go viral on TikTok.
Yeah, it's the worst nightmare. Shoot me, man. I'd rather take a bullet in the foot. Like, no way.
So then with Miranda, I mean, you obviously did the Vegas stuff. Mm-hmm. That's been very recent lately. Mm-hmm. Between the whole like wild card tour and Vegas, what else have you done with her? Yeah, so I did, like I said, I went out for just a good bit of shows. Mm-hmm. Even on that wild card tour, after the first 3, they had me back out for more later. Yeah. And it was actually, that was the last tour I was on before the world shut down, basically. Yeah. I was on, we had a weekend of dates, and actually those dates I think got canceled that weekend, so I was really just out on a bus. Yeah. So yeah, I did mostly touring with her at first, and then once COVID started and things, like did a few things in town while she was in town, whether it was just like even as simple as like liners or you know different like content for like new music and things like that. Just anytime I can kind of get out and, you know, help them out in any way, like I'm super game for it. They're like I said, great people, and you know, easy, like we just kind of understand each other, and I also just appreciate, like, when she asked for me out there. Also, actually, this is probably what I should have said here. I assume this is probably what you were trying to get me to say, was she asked me to
be the photographer at her 40th birthday.
I heard about
like
that.
a month or so ago.
Yeah.
Dude, I've never screenshotted a text so fast of like, hey, and it wasn't like, are you free? It was, Miranda wants to know if you'd come out and be the photographer at her birthday party, at her 40th birthday party. They rented out Billy Bob's in Texas, and had, a bunch of her, like 200 or something of her closest friends, and they just did like really good country karaoke a little bit, had some of her best friends get on stage and play songs, and then at the end they just traded off playing, absolute smashes.
Amazing.
And it was just incredible. I was just like, how am I here right now? How am I allowed in here with a camera? Like, no way. Right. So yeah, that was, dude, to even be asked for that, to have that gig was, I still can't believe that
incredible.
Happened. Yeah.
What about those moments, man, of like, how am I here right now?
Dude.
How many of those have you had? Because
So
I've had
many.
a lot of them.
Oh yeah,
where
so
it's
many.
Like, wait, I'm in the room with this person and this person.
Absolutely.
You got any stories?
I mean, first of all, you started today with a moment of, hey, by the way, I was talking about you with Tim earlier, and I'm like, dude, what? Like, that's not. You led with that, like, holy smokes. But yeah, I've had plenty, man. Like, I'd say one of my favorite stories to tell is the first time that I really met Tim was, like I said, Devin opened for him and Faith on the Soul to Soul tour, and we were in, I think, South Dakota, and Devin and the band, they were getting ready for sound check, and we got a text in the group text from our tour manager saying, hey, sound check is good, 15 minutes or something like that if you guys are still good. I also just got a text from Tim's tour manager that he and his band and crew are going to be out on the football field. They're going to be playing like two-hand touch football. They invited you and your whole camp out if you want to go play against them.
Right.
Devin's not the fastest texter. He takes a little while sometimes to text back. I've never had a quicker response from Devin in my life. He said, F sound check.
Right.
You boys get your shoes on. We'll see y'all out on the football field.
That's amazing.
So we went out and played two-hand touch football. And it was Devin and his crew of like 6 or 7 against Tim and his band and crew.
Amazing.
Now I went out initially and just was like taking photos and video and whatever of the moment, right? Doing my job. And so I was doing that for probably the first 20 minutes. And then one of Devin's band guys, called for a sub. They're like, dude, I'm exhausted, like chasing around there because they're all in good shape. Like they stay in good shape. And so he called for a sub and he's like, Tyler, give me your camera. I looked at Devin. I was like, yeah. He's like, let's go, get in. And so I went in, and on the first, I think it was the first series. I don't know if it was the first play. So Devin was guarding Tim the whole time, obviously. And Tim was playing quarterback.
Right.
And however, Tim's head of security, EJ, was playing center. So he was snapping Tim the ball, and he was blocking Devin the whole time. Devin's not getting around EJ,
right? If
his life depended on it. He's just not, and he was getting frustrated. He's like, he keeps blocking. He couldn't do anything, and so he looked at me, and I was like, who'd you have? Like, who am I guarding? He's like, get on the line. He's like, if EJ blocks you, I'll get to him, but if he blocks me, you better get to him. And I was like, okay, sounds good. Like I said, this is my second tour ever in town, and I'm lining up on the ball, me to you. It's Tim McGraw taking a snap.
Right.
And so he snaps the ball. EJ blocks Devin. So I have a free lane. No one's there. No one's around. I have a free lane to Tim. He's there to the corner. And so I probably get 6-8 feet away from him. And I just like have a moment of like, holy shit, I'm about to sack Tim McGraw. Like, don't hurt him. You know what I mean? Like, don't like trip and shove him. Don't like scratch him. Be careful here, Not that he can't take it, but like, dude. And so within the like 6 to 8 feet of me having that moment, I get to the point where I'm about to, two-hand touch him and sack him. And just out of nowhere, I just feel an arm just go right into my chest. He hits me with the hardest Heisman stiff arm I've ever felt in my life. I went limp. Like my body, I went from here, like, strong arm to my body just, like I did a body roll. My hands clapped like above his arm. I didn't even touch him. And he takes one more step back foot, and like lobs it up for a first down. And he looks at me like, and he gives like a fist bump, and he looks back at me. He's like, wait, did you get me? I was like, dude, I don't know what just happened, but I sure as hell know I didn't sack you. Like, there's no way I just sacked you there. And so I remember after that, Devin was looking at me like, dude, I was like, dog, like, what is you, like, I got a handprint on my chest. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want from me, man? I'm so, like, he's an athlete. And so, yeah, that was my first time meeting Tim. We actually ended up tying him, thankfully. I don't know if they let us do that or not, but yeah, so that was my first time. And then getting to tell Tim that story after I started working for him, I initially told his manager, she's like, oh, you got to tell that. He's going to love that. For the first, like, 6 months of working for Tim, after I told him that story, every time he'd, like, get out of the car or show up, he'd be like, what's going on? And just, like, he'd hit me or the camera, whatever, and just, bah, how we doing? Like,
so funny, man.
And so in that moment, I was like, dude, I first of all had the moment mid-sack of like, oh my God, I'm sacked to McGraw. Am I really here right now? And then now, getting to tell that is like, dude, so I almost sacked to McGraw. Man.
Yeah, I'm crying. That was so funny.
Yeah. So that was like I said, that was the first time like really getting to meet
Please
Tim.
Tell me that the guy you handed the camera off to got it.
No. Oh. No. Man. It was more so like a, hey, get in. I'm not actually going to do your job, but like, hey, get in. No. I think he tried to film at one point, but like, I don't think it was probably overexposed. I don't even remember. Yeah, no.
What is
we definitely don't have that on camera. but yeah, that was, yeah. That was a trip. Also, just for visual purposes, like Tim is like, at that moment, he was shirtless. Yeah. In just like gym shorts and tennis, like dude. So you're running out like a tank, like. So I'm just like, again, like don't hurt. He's got to go on stage in 4 hours. Yeah. Like don't, as if I could even hurt him, to be honest. But yeah.
That is so.
So that funny. was definitely a pinch me moment that I to this day I still love to tell.
What? Now? How did you get the McGraw gig then?
Yeah. So the McGraw gig, it started there
now you're like,
indirectly.
You're like full time with McGraw.
Yeah, I'm going on.
Amazing.
Yep, I'm gonna be going on my 3rd year here, so been about 2.5.
Yeah. When this podcast comes out, you'll probably be mid tour at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, probably something like that. And so it's been about 2.5 years. It indirectly started then. I didn't think it was starting then, but it was. You're out on the tour. You get on their radar a little bit because they're checking out what the opener's posting and stuff like that. Yeah. And I'll have to send you. there's an Instagram post that Devin made of Tim like chasing him. Also from that I took a photo of. It's hilarious. I'll send that just for visual purposes.
Totally.
But yeah. Anyway, so that was the first time I kind of got on the radar at all, and then from that, again back to Matt Pasker, we ended up working on a couple different gigs for him. Kind of helping out as like other cameras and stuff, and it was like a sound check live video that we Matt and I also ran a camera with his current camera guy at that point, and another like acoustic thing like over COVID, things like that. And so I had met his at that time current tour road guy Tian. Love Tian. Yeah, Tian's such a sweet guy.
Now? What's he doing?
Honestly, he's been doing like some live production and stuff like that, like videos for live production. That was the last I'd kind of heard. Honestly, need to reach back out and kind of reconnect with him a little bit.
Tian and I did a McGraw thing. I was on the road with Tian, or no, I mean, so I did the 2006 thing, but I was out with Billy Currington on the Tim McGraw tour. Yeah, and Tian was out there. Yep. And I remember I shot a lyric video with Tian. Oh, it was the one with all the photos and the writing and the I think we shot it in Indianapolis.
It was oh my gosh, what song was that?
No, it was Chicago.
And they had like t-shirts, right? They have t-shirts or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Tian and I shot that.
No way.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so crazy.
I think that was like 2015.
That sounds about right, I think.
Was. Yeah. I forget the name of the song. I have to look it up.
Yeah.
We'll show a little clip of it.
Yeah, you'll find it. Exactly. Yeah. And
yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's killer. But anyway, so I met Tian.
Yeah.
And, Tian had been out for a long time. But then at that point, he's married. He just had a kid.
Yeah.
So he was kind of, he's ready to, I think, be off the road for a little bit. And so, they obviously asked him, was like, well, if you have anyone to recommend as like a replacement, we're all ears. Like, and so he originally asked me, he's like, hey, would you be okay if I recommended you? I was like, dude, what do you want me to say? No? Right. Like, of course.
Right.
Yeah, I would love that. And so, like I said, but then COVID happened. And so, things went differently than expected. Yeah. And so anyway, coming out of COVID, I had the opportunity to go out and film and take photographs at his first show back, basically. And it was at Watershed. Dude,
what a venue!
I'd never been to Watershed before either.
That's somebody had asked me that. It's one of my favorite venues in the States.
It's my favorite that I've ever shot at.
It's unbelievable. The sunset, the river, like just
also the energy, because it's like a bowl and just the sound
unreal.
Just like surrounds you. It's amazing. So that was the first show I ever did for Tim as kind of his guy.
Yeah.
And
God, it doesn't get any bigger than that,
dude,
man.
right?
God.
Coming back to 25,000 people who also hadn't been at a show probably in like a year. So they're all pent up energy, been in the house, like they're ready to go crazy.
Yeah.
And so, I came back, took photos and did video for that show, did a quick turnaround. And, that was kind of my test run of like, hey, we think Tyler could maybe do this. Let's see if he has the chops. And that was kind of a big, big show to be like, he might be our guy. We'll see, right? Yeah. Let's throw him in the deep end, basically. And sent him stuff, and he loved it. And I think the response was, after I sent him the edit, was, love this, and we love Tyler.
Amazing.
That was the signature of approval.
Yeah.
And from then on, they were like...
And when was that? That was 22, 21?
21.
21,
I think, yeah. Yeah, 21.
So then you got to do a tour with him right after that, right?
Yeah, 22. Yeah, he did a headlining run doing sheds and stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. What's your favorite venue that you've been to?
Other than the Gorge?
Watershed, yeah.
Oh man, see, I haven't gotten to do I haven't gotten to do Red Rocks yet.
Ooh,
I had an opportunity that might have happened, but again, that got canceled.
Yeah.
And so, man, I'd say first time doing Staples Center.
Yeah,
was pretty cool.
Always Staples
and
Center.
It was Staples at the time, so it's gonna be Staples.
It'll never be Crypto.com Arena to me.
Yeah,
it was when Staples Center.
It was when Devin was open for Tim and Faith.
Yeah.
They played Staples.
Yeah,
and I remember just showing up being like, dude,
Kobe's house.
This is it. Yeah, like holy smokes, like this is Lakers like nation. Like this is like there's MSG, which I still haven't done MSG yet, but
oh man, that's a good.
So
one
like there's MSG, but then like this is the West Coast version. Like so that was a big moment. I remember that.
Yeah, I was born and raised LA.
Oh yeah, right, exactly.
In California, so I was born a Laker fan, obviously Dodger fan, all that. So like going to Staples Center and seeing Laker games and seeing Kobe play, it's just like and then you go in and you do these shows there, and you're like, at the Lakers dressing room. Yeah. I'm just like, oh my. Yes, it goes back to that whole sports thing, man. It's like country music stars. It's like, yeah, whatever. But man, when it comes to sports,
but dude,
it's
like one of the players walk by, you're like, dog. And he's like a bench player that probably no one else would even maybe know his name of. They're like, was he a player? It's like, dude,
one of my favorite stories. I was with Billy Currington at the time, and we were doing the Kenny Chesney tour. Yeah. And it was 2011. And I'll never forget, Chesney always ends his tours at Foxborough, at the stadium where the Patriots play.
Yeah.
And it's always in the end of August. So they were like in training. The Patriots were in training at that time. And I'll never forget, I think Billy did a sound check or something. It was in the middle of the day, and I walked through the VOM, and I was walking through the kind of the corridor, and all of a sudden, like, all these football players are walking out of the Patriots dressing room or their locker room or whatever, and there was just these huge dudes, just like big dudes. I'm just like, my God, because I'm a big sports fan,
For sure.
So I'm like, oh my God, and then all of a sudden, Tom Brady just comes walking around the corner, man, and we just literally just went like that.
See, in 2011, that would have been such an internal battle for me. I grew up a Colts fan.
Right.
I was a huge Colts fan.
Yeah.
Dude, Tom Brady ruined part of my childhood, man. So I would have been like, holy shit, that's Tom Brady, but also like, kind of F you, Tom Brady, a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, I'd get the shot, but like, I'd probably keep in the vault for a little bit.
It's funny because there's so much hate towards him, but there's so much love. But it's like
I love him now, dude.
Now that
he's
moment,
done.
though, it was so funny to me because I think Brady is like, how tall is he? He's like 6'3" or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So he's just a little bit taller.
So you're
than
about
me,
eye to eye.
But everybody that was around him made him look tiny.
Yeah.
these dudes were
there's also just nothing to him either.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah.
And he's just walking by, and I'm just like, holy
yeah,
shit.
Yeah, like Vince Wilfork passing next to him or something, 360, 6'4", whatever. It's like, Tom Brady doesn't look like anything.
It was unreal, man.
Yeah.
That's those are some of the moments,
Absolutely.
man. I'm just like, oh my God, what is life right now?
Yeah,
dude?
those are the moments that so many people, I mean, they pay X amount of dollars to even be in the hallway for that kind of a moment, right? And
exactly.
So, dude.
Exactly. It was awesome. Let's do a little gear chat, dude.
Dude, I'm
like, what do you? I mean, I know we kind of briefed and touched on it, right?
Yeah.
You know, but what are you using now?
Right now, I'm back to Team Canon, at least for the time being. I rock an R5 out on the road. Love it.
Man.
Beautiful camera.
I feel like it's the best camera that Canon's ever made.
Yeah, I would agree.
Opinion.
No, I would definitely agree.
Yeah.
The image quality is insane.
Yeah.
Even the video and photo.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Are you using RF lenses too?
Yeah. 24 to 70 right now, but you know, like I said, tour here in like a month. I might have to get that 24 to 105 because that's just a game changer.
That thing's brand new, man.
Yeah.
It's cool with the 2.8 all the way through.
I hardly would even need another lens.
Exactly.
At that point.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
That's what I thought when they announced that thing. I was like, man, this is a game changer for like being out on the road because you have to be kind of minimal. You know, when you're running around and stuff, it's like you got a 28 to 105 on this thing. It's like, man, you're covered.
You're good.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. So to have a 24, 105, 2.8.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I can sell the 24 to 70. Like, I don't need it. You know, like it's
or just get another body and use it for video.
I mean,
something.
True that. Yeah, true. You know? Very true. Very true. Very true. Yeah.
What else do you have? Is that?
So so that's my main camera.
Yeah.
I still have a 5D Mark IV that I'll use as like a secondary. I'll keep like a 70 to 200 on it or something. And then I'll also I have an Ursa that I'll have that, you know, if we're doing like a live, you know, hey, we need to capture this song for press, or hey, we're doing, you know, something a little more, you know, upscale than just tour stuff that I would need to have a little more, I don't know, better of a cinematic look, I'd say. I'll bring the Ursa out. Yeah. Yeah. Which I love the Ursa.
I love that you say that too, because, you know, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that shoot a lot for obviously like a recap video. Yeah. But like, what do you feel about like the whole longevity thing? Like if you were to like, you know, because if somebody's like, oh, we need a vertical video of this, and you're like shooting vertical, or you're cutting into vertical. I try
so hard to not shoot vertically ever.
I know.
Not just because not because I just don't like it or I don't think it's cool or whatever, but just never made sense in my mind to specifically shoot something vertically. Like I have, if I can get the wide. Yeah. Why would I not want the wide? I can get a little better quality here, but it's still gonna be compressed on your phone. Like it's not really gonna change things too much. So I'd shoot horizontal as much as I can.
Because I feel like, you know, too, it's like, you know, people always shoot for like recaps. It's like, you know, I in my head, in my world, you know, I feel like I'm always kind of shooting too for like the future.
I'm shooting for the documentary in 30 years.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You know, I think a lot of people don't kind of have that mentality, you know, and they should, because I feel like you just never know, you know, because like Carrie Underwood documentary in 20 years, you just never know. It's like you want the footage to be badass and you're not just like on an iPhone. Yeah. Even though iPhone stuff is great, but it's good for what it is.
It's good for what it is. Yeah. It doesn't, I agree. It's not as timeless. It's not as, I mean, I also miss doing a recap video or whatever kind of video in a
like
non-horror, in like a non-vertical format. Like it's, I miss those days.
Wild.
But like,
it's wild. Yeah. What else do you got? Is that pretty much what you're?
Yeah, that's standard definitely for the road. You know, like I said, I have a RF 24 to 70. I have I still use my EF lenses. I have a 16 to 35 2.8 and then a 70 to 200 2.8. Like that's the main gear. Yeah. You know, I usually travel with. Like for the tour, I'll probably do, like I said, R5, maybe two bodies if I go that route. If I don't go that route, maybe like a Sony FX3, depending. It's also depending on.
There it is again.
Well,
no, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Because we've all been talking about the Sony FX3, and I'm just like, man, I'm like, add to cart.
The biggest thing for me is just the native ISO being 12.8K. Yeah, is unreal. Yeah. I struggle to make an argument against it. Right. And especially if I may have a second shooter out for this tour, and with that, the one that's kind of leading that charge, is a Sony shooter.
Yeah.
And so also just ease for video to match frames and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes a lot of sense to get that camera out, and then keep the R5 for stills, because I love
Dude,
the R5 for stills.
It's unreal.
You know,
man.
now is it 12.8? You know, native? No, but also I'm shooting to McGraw in an arena.
Yeah.
Like, no, the light's gonna be perfect at pretty much all times, so it's not like I have to worry.
I wonder what's next with Canon after the R5.
I mean,
what are the rumors?
Yeah, I honestly don't. I mean, the 24 to 105 was huge. I mean, that made a lot of Sony people go like, "Hey guys, that's a game changer." Making them consider, you know, switching after the 12.8 came out. I think to match, you know, if they're going against their competitors, like to up their native ISO, I think is huge. But
I wonder if it's gonna be like an R5, like Mark II or something. You know?
Yeah, I mean, at some point they're gonna get to a point where one camera's gonna be everything to an extent, to where like you have your built-in NDs, you have your built-in XLR, you know, you have everything you need, but it's all like compact enough to, if you wanted to use it for like not an everyday, but if you wanted to use it for like a studio, you know, camera or whatever, you can use it for that as well. But at the same time, that like handcuffs them as a company. It's like, well, this camera does everything. You don't really need the others either. So it's like, I feel like they're getting to that point
that they're playing.
Yeah,
for sure.
they're kind of getting to that point where it's like they probably could build a camera that did mostly everything, you know. But it's like
that's their only.
They also have a whole product line of things that do other things really well. So it's kind of tough. So
So one question I've been asking everybody on this podcast. This is a good one.
Yeah.
One camera, one lens for a weekend on the road. You have one of each. What is it?
I mean, I think I just said it now. The 24 to 105 2.8 with the Canon R5. I mean, that's right now tough to beat. And I would still take that over Sony now with the 24 to 105, just because for the most part, especially if I'm with the artist, that's the only lens I'm gonna need.
Yeah.
Like I rarely am in a situation where I'm like, dang, I really need a 70 to 200 tonight for this. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, like 105 is gonna do me pretty well.
Yeah.
Especially with the high megapixel on that thing, dude. Like, if I have to 2x it, you ain't gonna know. No one else is gonna know. If it goes on a billboard, we'll talk about it. But like, you know, like, for a weekend on the road, I don't know how you don't choose that.
I love that answer, and I love that question so much because everybody's had a different answer.
Really?
Yeah. It's wild. You know, it's like, it's really cool because it's like.
Well, what's your answer to that?
Mine's an R5 24 to 70.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Because
would it change to the 105 now?
It would.
Okay.
It probably would. But I haven't had it in my hands
it's
yet,
also
so
just,
I don't know.
Yeah. The only drawback to it that I could see is it's just a lot heavier.
Yeah.
It's
longer, apparently.
Exactly. Like, it feels, from what I understand, it feels like the 70 to 200 RF.
Yeah.
Like, weight-wise.
Yeah.
And kind of length-wise.
Have you used the 28 to 70 yet?
For the RF, I have rented it before. I don't own it, but
I have it. It's
beautiful.
Amazing. It's my favorite lens.
I
wouldn't use it as the lens for that choice though.
Yeah.
Because it's not really made for video because there's no IS on it.
Yep.
I mean, you could put the in camera IS, but it's just, you know what I mean.
Yep.
But it's that 28 to 70 concert stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know, if you've rented it, it's incredible.
It's insane.
But yeah, I would definitely choose the 24 to 70 because it just gives me a little, it's just diverse. You know what I mean? Because it's like you could take great photos with it, and you could flip it over to video and all that.
Yeah. Has anyone set a prime lens? I'm curious. Yeah. Really? See, that blows my mind.
Yeah. It's mostly 50, Dylan?
Now, if you're just doing stills, maybe, but like, oh, that blows my mind.
I know.
I've never been a prime guy.
I know. You know John Shearer, right?
Yeah. Is that what he said?
No, he said like a Q3. But he's a photographer.
But he's a photographer, so like it's a little different. He's doing the backstage portraits.
Exactly.
He's doing the live like MTV Music Awards. Like it's a little different, I think, for inputs. You know. Yeah.
And I love his reasoning.
I'm not gonna argue with John.
I know exactly.
You know, like
legend.
Yeah.
You know, I love his reasoning though with the Leica Q3 because he says that it's what is it? It's just discreet. You know what I mean? It's like you're not. There's no like big flashes. He's capturing moments, and if you're looking at his Instagram and you're seeing his portfolio, it's all about moments for him.
Totally.
So it's like he's not like intruding, you know, type of thing. So it's like cool that you could just put it around your neck.
I respect that answer a lot.
You just fire off some stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, prime stuff. I think didn't Daniel Vorlay say?
No way.
Yeah, I think he said a prime. He said a 24 prime.
Dude,
Isn't
what?
that wild?
That's
I know.
I'm gonna have to call him after this. That's insane. A 24 prime on the road is crazy to me.
Yeah. Kate, what was it? Katie Koss?
I just feel so handcuffed.
Katie Koss was a 50.
I could see Katie saying that.
Yeah.
I could see Katie saying that.
Katie's awesome.
Katie's like, if you're shooting a backstage portrait session in Nashville, I don't know how you don't hire Katie Koss.
I know.
I heard.
That stuff that she does at CMA is beyond
beautiful,
and it's so insane looking.
Those are
always.
They're timeless.
Yeah,
those are a lot of those are going to be the ones that pop up as like covers for a documentary in 30 years.
Exactly,
like
those are going to be in books.
Down
the line.
Exactly,
100%.
That's in the same realm of like a Danny Clinch.
Exactly. I saw that you shot a photo of Danny.
I did. Yeah. I got to. So Danny's done work with Tim a lot in the past, and he actually just shot Tim's recent single art.
Nice.
That because while we were in New Jersey, the last time Tim played Jersey, Danny came out to the show, did a quick, like I think it was maybe 10 minutes, 15 tops, session before Tim's show of just getting some like album packaging or whatever, just a bunch of different stills of press, whatever we wanted to use them for.
It was funny because Danny did all of the imaging for the Soul to Soul 2 tour in 2006.
Yeah,
so that was the first time I ever met him.
That might have been the first time that he met Tim then at that point.
So.
I think he said it had been about 15 years.
Yeah,
that they'd known each other. So I got to meet him, and then during the day actually, plans kind of changed, and so the day opened up, and I went with Kelly, one of Tim's managers. We went to his studio there in Jersey.
I've never been.
Oh my gosh!
I know. I want to go.
I could spend hours.
It was funny. The studio that I was in last week, they had his book in there, and I was just flipping through his book at one point.
He gifted me a book.
No way.
I was there. Like I said, I was just wandering around. He and Kelly were talking about whatever. I didn't know Danny not well enough to be able to share stories.
Right.
And so I was just wandering around. I got to meet his son, and just everyone in there would just tell me stories about the photos I was looking at, whether it's like, from a jail with like Metallica or, the kind of like Tupac photo or the, whatever it was in there. Right. It's a million photos are worth 1,000 words. Right. And so to be in there, dude, you're reading a novel. Right. And so I was just there taking it all in and just like appreciating, everything that he's done, the moments and
that cover
that he's
shot
captured
on the book of Eddie Vedder.
Yes. Yes, dude.
It's like now that is the definition of the moment.
Absolutely.
It's like that's capturing the moment. That
right
is
place, right time,
exactly,
right guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he's a legend, dude.
Absolutely
he's awesome.
is.
He's still just crushing it. His like selection of cameras too.
He used the R5.
Yeah. Oh, does he really now?
When he shot that show, he did.
Yeah.
He had the R5 with might have been the 28 to 70. I don't know which lens it was at the time, to be honest.
Amazing.
But yeah, because I remember that was the first tour I'd used the R5 on.
Yeah.
And he asked what I was using. I was like, R5. He's like, me too. I love it. I was like, dude, I got the camera. I can't argue. No one can argue with me now. Like it's like
Because I always loved whenever I would see him, he would always have something around his neck.
Oh,
and always have like a little a
little
thing,
pocket,
he's just,
something like
he's just doing his thing.
Like or whatever it is,
exactly.
like a Fuji, whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, wrapping up here, I'd love to know, like, obviously you came in from, Indianapolis, and you've been here since 2018, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that it's like a short period of time, but you've been here long enough to experience like the road, music videos, like everything like creative in this town. Like, if you were to like kind of bring it back and like tell like these people that want to come in and like do what we do, like what kind of advice would you give to the new class that's coming in, or that they want to do this? Because I feel like these podcasts are like telling these stories, and not to be an asshole and not to like do a good job and really learn your craft. It's like, what would you say to them?
I'd say two parts. Is one, just try to put yourself in areas that an opportunity can present itself. Like, you can DM so many people, you can do all that, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. But like I said, with me at the radio station, it puts you in the room. Like you're around the people. At least you get to, and then you also get a chance to show them your work, right? And so whether that's like, trying to shoot at your local club, right? Mm-hmm. And then whether the, artist you know, is the one you're shooting for or not. Like, to be able to get stills and, you know, send them to them, send them to management. And if you're doing a kick-ass job, people are going to notice, right? And so just trying to put yourself in those kinds of situations to give yourself a chance at the opportunity, right? And then also make sure you have the reps in to, when you get the opportunity, to be able to take advantage of it. Because I think there's also a lot of chances that come about for a lot of people that, you know, it's a great chance, but they haven't probably put the reps in and really hone their craft well enough to probably take full advantage of it, you know, to make sure they're prepared for it. And it's not me saying, you know, to tell people to say no to those opportunities, but just, you know, it's like, isn't luck when preparation meets opportunity, right? So just make sure, you know, you're as prepared as you can be. Go out and just, you know, just put reps in, whether that's, I know a lot of, it's a tough subject in our industry, still is. It's a lot of shooting for free and stuff. I did that early in my career. And just because I had no work to show, but it was like, hey, you're at least not taking a risk on me. Just let me show you what I could do. So the first 2 artists that I shot for free was Jordan Davis and High Valley. They came to town, shot him a DM. I was like, hey, I'm a local guy. I don't know if you have a photographer. Will you let me come out and shoot your show? Don't have to pay me a dime. I just want to, you know, do this one day, and will you just give me a chance to, like, you don't even have to post it if it sucks. Like, you know, just give me a chance. And they were like, yeah, dude, like, come on down, come on through. And I did it. And those videos you're not going to show on these podcasts. But, you know, like I said, you got in the room, you got a chance to kind of figure things out. And, you know, you put yourself in there to see if you even liked it too. Right. And so, just give yourself as many opportunities as you can. And then when you finally do, I mentioned it earlier, and I just want to reiterate it, is, man, lead with respectfulness. Yes, you know, there's 100%. It's such a, the industry's changed, I think, enough, not that I've been around long enough to really see it change, but that there's a lot of artists out there you may feel like, you know, you may feel like, you know what they like, you know how, you know, they like to hang or whatever, because they post so much on social media, you get to kind of know them. But don't go in there and trying to necessarily be their best friend off the rip. Now, don't be cold or anything, but just go in there knowing that, hey, they've hired you to do a job. Show them that you can do the job first and do it well. And then they're going to be more than happy to be friendly with you, you know? But if you go in there trying to be a friend first, and then, you know, then maybe showing them, even if you do kill it, like, it's going to be a different vibe. Like, it's just not going to be right. So, you know, you kind of have to earn the opportunity to maybe make a friend at that point, right? Because you're there to do a job first. And so, you know, just leading with that, and, you know, being respectful that, you know, you're lucky to even be there and have the opportunity to be in those kinds of rooms, you know, and, you know, see the things that go on backstage, and be able to not only see them but film them. Like, dude, like, not that anything crazy goes on, but just like, you know, like every time, like, this is a tangent, I'll try to wrap it quickly, but every time Tim, you know, goes to a show to warm up, he likes to warm up with like a cover backstage. Him and his guitar player. He'll literally just say, hey, Bobby, play this chord. He plays it. Tim goes into a song, and Bobby just follows right along and just starts jamming. They haven't talked about it beforehand. They just know each other well enough, and it happens. And I get to record that. Every show. And I'm sitting on the wall listening to him sing like an old Merle Haggard song. That I know millions of people would kill to be in the room for that.
100%.
And so, like, to be in the room for those opportunities, like, you got to earn it. You got to be respectful. You got to show that you're not going to ruin those kind of moments either, right? So I'd say, in a weird roundabout way, just be respectful and put yourself in the, you know, in the right places to at least get opportunities. Yeah,
that's amazing, dude. What does 2016 Tyler think about 2024 Tyler?
Man, 2016 Tyler, he's shocked that we're in country music. That's for sure. Like I said, I didn't go into that job. Country was not on my radar. Like, even growing up in Indiana, like, you know, I knew of a Tim McGraw or like a Toby Keith, but like, it wasn't like, you know, hey, new album drop, let's crank it in the pickup. Like, that was not me whatsoever. And so he's shocked that he's doing anything with country music. And then, let alone, you know, being out on a tour and stuff. Like I said, I grew up an athlete. I didn't grow up in music like that. And so, 2016 Tyler is going to need to have a sit-down conversation with 2024 Tyler of how the hell that all happened.
Well, I'll tell you what, this podcast just told it all, man.
Sounds about right.
Dude, thank you, Tyler, man, for coming out, man.
Thanks
Dude,
for
this has been
me.
great, man.
Dude,
Seriously.
Heck yeah.
I know we could go on and on. We're at the 2-hour mark.
Dude,
isn't that crazy?
We could go for 2 more easily.
Let's do a season 2 with you, dude.
I'm in. I'm so in.
Let's shoot sometime too.
I'm in for that.
We have to
shoot, do an edit. Like I'm all of it.
I'll teach you Da Vinci.
Dude, say less. Say less. Da Vinci in a coffee. Let's go.
That's right. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, man.
Pleasure being on. The wrap?
You get to call it, dude.
That's a wrap on Tyler Conrad.